Hello, everyone. I trust that you guys have had a wonderful past week, right? The press action was, amazing. And, pretty much everything that we were looking for to happen did happen, right? So it was one of those weeks whereas, we got basically everything correct in our analysis, right? Which is the main thing because without your analysis, you won't have a trade unless you're gambling, which, we do not aim to do, right? So yes, for the past week, it has been very hectic, right? Flights literally almost died. The sky turned the plane sideways and I almost shoot myself, which was not a good feeling. When you're 30,000 feet up in the air, it's insane. So yes, we're back in full force. So today it's Monday and we'll be doing, at least 3 live streams a week now. So, this is the first live stream for the week. And looking at today's press action, you can, evidently see why we chose to not do much today. Well, I know why. I'm not 100% sure if you guys do, right? Maybe some of you have, caught on to why sometimes we skip days that have high-impact news events. Maybe some of you haven't, right? There's a hint, which I would tell you, right? I just want you guys to do some studying, right? It's, there is a way whereas you can have a divergence by just looking at the economic calendar, right? You can have a divergence between, news events. For example, you can have news for the euro and news for the USD. You compare them, there would be a difference, right? A certain thing that you should look for. Which we'll talk about very soon. But before we talk about that, we need to give you guys the building blocks, right? We need to go in a bit deeper so that it will be easy for you to understand and so that you will not be confused. So yes, last week I moved completely, right? And I actually moved to 2 different countries at the same time, right? So, and that's pretty insane to think about. How did you do that in a week? Yeah, so I had to send some stuff, and then secure a place at another country, then do the same thing at another one. So I have 2 bases now, right? So I'm completely trying to get out of Canada. I don't think I'll be going back for now. It's insane. The tax is insane. Everything is insane. Right? I just hate it there. Right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. And, last week I was extremely busy and, gladly, right, the analysis that we gave you guys on the first day or the first and only live that we had last week was correct and, very informative. So yes, looking at the screen right now, right, you guys can see that we had news today, which did not do much, right? It just gave us some type of distortion, right? So today was just used to create a small range, right? And that's very telling. Whenever you see news events, right, do that on a Monday, right? Tomorrow, right, at 10 a.m. we have news, right? So for the week, you want to pay attention to the time, right now, or the hour that we're in right now, which is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right, when I say the hour that we're in, I'm referring to 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? You just want to pay attention to the true week open, right? And pay attention to what price does. If price, explosively moves above it, then, we could be looking for, the high of the week to be forming, shortly after that move. If it does move below it, then we could be looking for the low of the week to be formed, right? And you know that we don't, we do specialize in the futures market, and I'm referring to the index futures market, right? That's our favorite market, right? And yeah, but when it comes to if it's Bitcoin, if it's the Forex market, if it's the interest rate trade, we look at everything and we understand everything as well, right? So here, Wednesday, you can see that we have no news, right? So the high and low of this day will, be very important, right? So due to the fact that we have, a blank day right here, right? We can be looking for Thursday, right? Thursday to be forming the high low of the week, right? Or if we have sequential SMT between the, days of the week, between Tuesday and Wednesday, for example, or likely Wednesday, if not Thursday, right? Then we could be just looking for expansion on Thursday, right? And then Friday, right? Depending on if we have sequential SMT or not, right? Price will either reverse or just continue to in the direction which the week has been established. Then, right? So we're talking about something that has not happened, but we're laying the criteria that we are looking for, right? We know what we're looking for, right? And we know when to act, or when not to act. So here we're looking at Bitcoin, right? So on this candle, I remember, right? And we gave our analysis for the week, right? What did we expect? We expected higher prices, right? More particularly, right? And we were actually on a lower time frame. But that's okay, right? That just shows, the immense volatility that we had, right? So this high was, what we were aiming for. Also, we were aiming for this high as well, but this was the main draw on liquidity. And we still can consider this as a draw on liquidity as well, right? And the same thing with these highs right here, over here, right? You can see that they're just too, close to one another. Too perfect, right? It's very obvious that there's liquidity resting above even this one right here, right? And liquidity is above these highs as well, right? So what did we expect? We expected price to move higher. And what happened? Price moved higher, right? So right here to right here would be where we would look to bridge or trade, right? So once you hear me say, I'm bullish, what do you look for? You look for a fair value gap, right? Price falls within that fair value gap. You go on the lower time frame. Here would be the 1 hour time frame, right? This fair value gap right here, right? So the low of this candle right here, which is the one that confirmed that this 3 candle formation is a fair value gap. What did it do, right? The low of this candle would be a liquidity pool on the 1 hour time frame, right? Just as though if this was the weekly time frame and this candle, confirmed this fair value gap, then a low or a real liquidity pool would be below this low on the 4 hour time frame, right? So you go to the 1 hour time frame and you would see right here, right? So this is the time frame that we actually used when we were given our bias, right? And you can see that price has, moved up a bit, right? So we were bullish around here, right? And then we saw that a daily fair value gap formed right here, right? And you must understand that, or you must know this, right? Whenever you see like a 1 hour fair value gap form within a daily fair value gap, that is what? Tell me. That is high probability, right? So here we had a daily fair value gap from here to here, and right here, what do we have right here? We have a 1 hour fair value gap right here, right? And it's not, I always say this because I don't know who, who watches everything or just, skips. But, you can go back, you can watch, you can see what we were talking about, and then you will understand that this is, not hindsight. It does look like hindsight sometimes, but it's not, right? We're very, clear on what we want to see. And when we're wrong, we're wrong. When we're correct, we are, pinpoint, correct. So we are extremely accurate whenever we're right? And the same thing for whenever we're wrong, right? So we don't, appreciate drawdown. We don't like that. We rather to just, get stopped out just like that. Negative 1% is okay, whatever. But once, you get into here, right, you get an entry, here, this low right here, right, price drops below this low into a daily fair value gap. Here we were bullish, and we were bullish on the stock market as well. We were bullish on the, with the S&P 500, NASDAQ, all of that stuff, right? Price dropped. What happened? Then we began to rally, right? One heck of a move. Now here you can see that here we were correct as well, right? So what do we expect here? Higher price action. Explosive moves to the upside. What do we get? That's what we get. So this is what we expected when this candle was here, right? Here before this candle, even opened. But it opened, but it was literally right here, right? We expected what? Price to go higher. Right here for the NASDAQ, this is exactly what we expected as well. We didn't expect price to take this high. You can go and you can, rewatch, the everything, right? The last two streams that we did, right? We did not expect this high to be taken out. We expected this high to be taken out, and we also expected this high to be taken out, right? If we didn't expect anything for the Dow, we expected the Dow to take this high out, right? This was pretty obvious, right? So for now, what do you expect, Jay? What do you expect? So I would say that I would expect, higher price action still, right? At least until we trade into this fair value gap right here, right? So this high right here, and, just looking at this, understand that this is the weekly time frame, right? So even from here, this move from here to this high, right? That's a good amount of points, right? Close to 200 points to here, right? From this, where the candle is right here for the NASDAQ to here is almost 200, right? So you look for sequences simply to occur here, then wait for price to trade into this gap. The sequence simply occurs here, then we could look for price to fall back within the range as well. Same thing here. Wait for price to trade above this high, right? And wait for price to trade into this fair value gap right here. So if you're, for example, you find something to do here, you're buying here on the 4-hour time frame, the 1-hour time frame, the 50-minute time frame, whichever you prefer, right? Price spikes. So you want to catch the spike. Are you going to hold it? No. So here, right, you can see that there is nothing above here to look for, right? There's nothing here to look for. Right, for the NASDAQ, we do have, right, this fair value gap. So the drawn liquidity for the NASDAQ, you could say, is this fair value gap right here. That's what I'm looking at, right? Ultimately, for now, right here. I would wait for the NASDAQ to trade into this fair value gap before, if I get into a, buy and price is trading above this high, wait until price trade into this fair value gap before you get out, right? So that's how you do it, right? That's how you look for targets when there's nothing to target, right? Here, right, we're going to, go over this right now. So this setup that you guys see right here, which we talked which we talked about before it ever happened. This is, the main thing that you should be looking for. I keep saying this over and over and over, I know, but this is it, right? Some of you, you're already profitable. Some of you, you're already making money, right? I know. Some of you, you're passing your challenges and everything. I see them. I see the emails, the messages, but I was just too busy, but I will, get back to you, right? I see them. So here, what happened? We had price, failed to break below this low. Here, same thing happened. Price break below this low, broke below this low. Should have here. This is where you will have your high probability fair value gap form, right? So once price trades above, and form a fair value gap, which sequence SMT here, you want to, focus here. Price drops here, that's your buy, right? You could also be, participating in the marketplace below this low as well, right? Because this is where the majority of stops, will be taken, right? So what's the algorithm doing, right? It takes stops here, stops are left here, and stops are left here as well. And I said stops are left here and here. What does that mean? That means that eventually, right, price will get back to these lows right here, right? So now you see price going higher, just going higher to go lower, right? So if you guys remember, we highlighted here is buy side liquidity. Here I'm just saying this again. And what happened? Gone, just like that. While this candle was like, right here. So, your opportunity to go long would be here, right? So once you see this candle trading below here, like even when it's a red candle, when it's a bearish candle trading below this low, what's happening, right? That's your manipulation in this candle right here, right? That's what it is. Manipulation and then distribution, right? Here, manipulation occurs here within this wick right here, before trading below this low, sequence SMT, right? Then we just went higher, cleared all of these highs right here, and I believe that this high will be taken, further down within this week. And for the NASDAQ, so this is how you can, pay attention to that. All right. So here again, we'll be, paying attention to, what occurred here. So here we had a daily fair value gap, right? And over here, you can see that we also had another fair value gap over here, right? Another fair value gap was over here. So whenever you see something like this happen, what is this? You remember what this is? This is, would be a balanced price range. But due to the fact that, the second fair value gap, which passed through the old one, right? Passed through the old one right here. And it is also smaller than this one. It's an advanced balanced price range, right? So the fact that we had this fair value gap formed within this one, so it's not just over it, right? Or, usually balanced price range are the opposite, right? So the fair value gap, which, the second fair value gap would be larger than the first one that it forms, around. But here it's smaller, right? So this was already a fair value gap, price traded above it, had a fair value gap formed within this one. It becomes a advanced balanced price range. We had buy side liquidity here. We had buy side liquidity here, right? These highs were too close, right? We dropped here, and most, our entries formed within this fair value gap right here, right? You will mostly see, and this is one of the secrets, right? You will mostly see price move from internal liquidity to external liquidity and external liquidity to internal liquidity, right? That's what it does. Just as out here, we can see that price drop below this low, move within here, traded here, consolidated. Right, and once you see price consolidating like this, when it starts moving away, you should be looking for the base that it will take, right? You should be looking for the support that it's going for to just reject from, right? So here we had price consolidating, it began to drop, right? Once this happened and we had sequential SMT occur within this fair value gap, then we knew that price was going to go higher, right? And we did, annotate here already, right? So this is what it looks like, right? And you can see that we had this leg of price action right here, which was a part of the sequential SMT, right? It was the first leg, which expanded and led to this failure string right here, right? So this is a lower low. This is a higher low, right? So this is the lower low. The lower low was formed within this imbalance, right? So whenever you see something like this happen, the lower low formed within this imbalance, price dropped here, right? You can just look for it to go below the 50% of this imbalance right here, right? As long as, right, there is sequential SMT. So yes, once you see this happen, then you see price, just starting to reject. So you see a wick here just beginning to reject, right? Before any of this happens, of course. And remember, it's not hindsight. This is what we expected, right? And one of the main things to look for is what? Liquidity. Here we had liquidity, right? And I always say that whenever I see, for example, price just barely trades above this high right here, right? I do not see that as a run on liquidity, right? I still see that as, I just see that as, another aim for price to, run towards. This is just a, another drawn liquidity. That's what it is. Just another drawn liquidity and, nothing else. This was not turtle soup, even though we saw price drop, right? It was just, dropping, to just create this low right here, right? As I said, this occurred when, if you guys remember, during Q1, right? And then we had this occur again during Q1 during the weekly cycle. This occurred during the monthly cycle, right? The first week of the month is when this occurred. And whenever you see price do something like this within the first quarter, then you should expect price to return to the range, right? This is where you have all of your liquidity voids form, right? And liquidity voids are mainly used for aiming for liquidity. They're not, used for support or resistance or any of that. Price will usually just blow through liquidity voids, and liquidity voids are usually formed during Q1. Whenever you see price just expanding like this, right? That's what happens. So again, right? This was not a turtle soup. Why? It's too, it was too shallow, right? And then we had, yes, price expand here, price expand here, price return within this range. After, pay attention, this expansion occurred, then this one occurred. So we had higher time frame expansion to the downside within a higher time frame PDRing. Then we had a lower time frame expansion, price return within this expansion. And remember, if it returns to this expansion, it should return to this one first, because this is lower time frame. It's not going to go into this one and this one after. It returns here within this expansion leg, covers everything. Then it covers here, right? We had sequential SMT here, and that is what led to the expansion that occurred right here. So here, you can see that we have this labeled as buy-side liquidity, this labeled as buy-side liquidity, and this labeled as buy-side liquidity as well. This is the 1 hour time frame, right? So this was the previous quarter of the month, right? The previous week. This is the current week. You can see that for the first day of this week, which is Q1, of course, we all know that we did not do much. We just, consolidated, which is why we did not go live yesterday, right? You can see that it was just, mainly prices moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? But here you can see that we have here a highlighter, which means that we will be aiming for this high, and this high, right? So I hope that you found this useful. We will be back at Wednesday at the same time this week, and then we will be back at Saturday, right? And whenever we meet Saturday, right, it will usually be around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or if not that time, that will be the latest time, then it will be before. Saturdays will mainly be used for, questions, Q&As and stuff like that, suggestions that you may have, whatever, talking, right? So I hope that you found this insightful, and we will be back this Wednesday. Good luck and good trading.